You're listening to Life and Shyt. I'm Danielle Walker.
And I'm Tommy Walker.
Join us as we talk about our journey overcoming fears, boundaries, marriage, family, lifestyle, business, and whatever other shit you can think of.
We're individuals that came together to create one unit with one mind and one goal. What's up, girl?
What's happening?
How you feeling?
I feel amazing.
Outstanding. I like it. I got a question for you. I got a question for you.
I'm ready.
You sound like Siri.
When did you start doing that anyways, right?
I find it very disrespectful.
Yeah, seriously.
Siri does that.
If you can you can hear it,
Yeah.
Siri.
Next is going to be what? I'm going to really be mad.
Ooh.
What is the purpose of an argument?
What is the purpose? Ugh, that's a hard one.
And I want you to be honest, because I feel like sometimes you will call an argument a debate, and a debate, I'll be like, we're not debating. This is an argument.
Yeah. Well, I say that when it's a debate, then it's two people talking about a conversation or a topic educationally or for a better good, arguing like both their sides. In arguments, in debates, they do get heated, but I don't know if people want to fight. You know, if they understand that it's just a debate, and after the end of a good debate, they shake hands and say "good debate," and then they move on. You know, but an argument, your emotions are kind of going. You know, people get upset, people want to fight. That's an argument. And I looked up what the cause of an argument is. And arguments and fights are caused by a lack of mutual and empathetic understanding. When empathy is not engaged, people, they kind of revert to this self-protective environment. And once you get into that environment, then it's like being on defense. And then that's when the argument starts.
So I still feel like you didn't answer my question. What's the purpose of it? Why do we argue?
Because someone wants to get their point across, or they want to be understood. Yeah. I mean, that's just it. It's either they want to get their point across, or they feel like they're not being understood, and then usually that's when the argument happens.
1,000%. I agree with you on that one, because you're basically trying to persuade someone, right? And I feel like every time we have an argument, back in the days, like not now, argument's a little different now. I think we do more arguing with our eyes than actual words. I'd be like, I'll look at you like, you know what? I'm not feeling you right now.
I'll be like, why are you looking at me like that? I just like
I'm just not feeling you right now. Give me 10. But back in the days, I'd be like, yo, you know what? I'm not gonna argue with you about this. And the first thing you say is, I'm not arguing either. This is a debate. I'd be like, what?
Like, we're not going to argue, but we are going to talk about this, though. We can't. I just got to get it out, but I'm learning. So all things don't have to be let out either. So
yeah, that's very true. So arguing is one of those things where, we talked about this before about having empty feelings, right? It's like when you get upset or you have that anger inside of you, like anger, arguing, it ties in hand in hand. So those empty feelings, all it does is just raise this adrenaline and blood pressure inside you. And then some people say like arguing is healthy, but if you think about it, you're like, well, is it really healthy? Some people say it is healthy. Like you have to do an argument maybe once every so many months.
Kind of get it out your system.
Just get it out.
I don't know. That's kind of rough. You could go to a rage room then and just get that out.
1,000%. Go axe throwing.
To argue with someone requires someone else. You know what I mean? And it's like I don't know if I want to argue with someone else all the time. Things that I would want to get out of my system, I would rather do it without. But I understand.
But and then think about the people that you usually argue with, right? So in the last 8 days, who have you argued with?
8 days? Only you. I think
we haven't argued in the last 8 days.
Yes, we did.
We're about to have an argument right now. No, we did. What we argue about?
In the last 8 days? On my way to Vegas.
Oh, that wasn't an argument.
Really?
That was a debate.
Yeah. Well, now we're really going to argue right here on this podcast. No. Just kidding.
That was my opinion about a circumstance that had directly to do with your health.
This is true. This is very true. Going into that, we could talk about why couples argue unless you have another time.
So that's what I was saying. So who do you argue with? You argue with people that are the closest to you.
Yes.
Right?
Truth.
Which, if you think about it, like, does that actually make sense? Like, the closest people to me are the only people I argue with. If you bumped into somebody in a store, or if you had a difference of opinion in a store, you wouldn't argue with that person. You either walk away, you would suck it up, you would walk away, call them an asshole, you would give them the finger, but it wouldn't be a full-on exchange of energy. No. But the people that are closest to us, the other people who I thought you were going to say was like family members.
Yeah, I was gonna say my sister, but not in the last 8 days.
No, your siblings.
My siblings. Yes.
Yeah, so you definitely argue with your siblings. If you have a close cousin who's like a sibling, right? Maybe your parents. Maybe, right? Yeah, depending on that level of respect. Yeah. Like at this point, at this point, I'm like, yo, you got it.
Absolutely no ever reason to argue with her.
Like my mom's and my dad. Like, shout out to my dad because he just called me right now. I had to set up to voicemail. But I'm
love you, Dad.
Like, I'm not. There's no reason for me to argue with my parents. Yeah. Now, as a teenager, you feel like I remember when Thais was mad at us. This is our oldest daughter, and we was in a house, and I don't even remember what we were discussing, but boy, she got raging mad. Like, I mean,
this is when she was older, right? Or she was out of the house.
No, she was in the house still. She was, I think she was like 16, 17.
She said we don't know her life.
Yeah. Raging mad. Dad, you do not know my life. You don't know what goes on outside of these four walls. Like, she was so mad, I just laughed. Like, I couldn't help it. Like, it was so funny to see her laugh, like, so angry.
That mad.
Yeah, and then she got even more mad because I was laughing.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Why are you laughing?" I was like, "Because you're mad. It's hilarious. Like, there's no reason for you to be mad." So we get in arguments with the people that are closest to us. In my eyes, it's just not fair. You know, and especially as many arguments that I've gotten into over years, it's like, damn, like, that is not fair to all of those people.
Yeah, I totally understand that, and you're right. It is the people that are closest to us get the worst of it. And why do mostly couples argue?
Sex.
Number one thing is definitely sex. You're the winner.
Give me a sticker for that one.
Again, it's about lack of sex, too much sex, different sex, right? Sex with someone else.
Yo, if you listen to this podcast, do not let sex be the demise of your relationship. Like, yo, talk. Like, talk. Like, it's easy. Just have a fucking conversation.
Yes. And if you guys like something different, then, you know,
go do it.
Yeah, don't argue about it, though, because arguing about sex sucks, because then you're really going to have a lack of sex.
If you like feet, I dig my, it's like, yo, I like feet, girl. Get the toes done. Do whatever whatever that shit is. I'm making fun of it right now because I'm trying to be light.
I know, but I don't like arguing about sex would be if I don't like sex in the morning, or or don't. I only want sex once a week.
Don't wake me up for sex.
Yeah, don't wake me up for sex. Yeah, or
if you ever said don't wake me up for sex, I'm be like, yo, homie, you always sleep. Yeah. Like, what other time am I gonna have sex? I'm definitely waking you up.
I'm not always asleep. What are you talking about?
Not always sleep, but there is a certain part of the day where you will doze off a little earlier than others.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Tidiness and cleanliness.
Yeah.
Yes. People could be too clean. They could just be like OCD clean.
Ain't no such thing as too clean. There's no, you looking at it like there is no such thing as too clean. Like
OCD clean.
No. If you agree with me, if you're one of those people that don't like dishes in the sink when the kitchen is closed, like, that is not too clean. Like, the kitchen's closed. Why is there a dish in the sink?
Oh, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, the first two topics are hot items. Hot items.
Hence, 90% of our arguments were too clean. It wasn't sex. No, we never had arguments about sex. Nah.
Apparently, we should, because I'm asleep. So it's
because I'll revisit
that. No, but I'm not asleep. How often am I asleep? Anyways, we won't argue about that. See, this is a good one. Argue on the podcast about arguing. False memories.
False memories
syndrome.
You just hit me with that's both of us.
Yeah, it is both of us.
Yeah, because I'd be like, you don't remember that? And then you just said I said something. I'm like, no, I made that up.
Yeah.
And you telling me I had a false memory.
In your memory, you made it up.
To argue a false memory syndrome, false memories, FMS.
That's a thing.
That's a real thing.
It's a thing.
Damn.
I'm glad it's a thing, because then, we know, and bona fidely, like we both had those moments where we're like, oh shit.
Yo, start calling people out on their false memories.
Yeah. Like, oh, like, you're right. It didn't happen that way. Like, in my mind, it happened this way.
So I started recording Danielle. Whenever something happens, I'd be like, yo, speaking to the iPhone, because I want to document this. Mm-hmm. So I have a few recordings.
It is true. And you know what? In all those recordings, I still see things the same way. He recorded it, but you know what? I'm like, I still feel the same. This is not the thing. This is the way I felt it. That was real. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to prove. Anyways, messing with the cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I cook things this way. You get upset about that.
Yeah, but that's only because you come in and you try and tell me what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because because you don't cook, so I'm always thinking I'm helping you, and then you're like, "Oh, you're not helping me."
That's why I stopped cooking.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I didn't know that. Well, you didn't start very often, so.
Home, see, there we go.
Help.
See, there we go. I'm in there doing my thing. You upstairs, and then you come downstairs. You looking over my shoulder. I'm like, what? Oh, you should clean it this way. You should do it. It's like. You know how long I've been cleaning?
Like, how long you been cooking?
Cooking? Yeah, that's what I bet.
I met you was microwaving stuff, so I don't know. You wasn't really cooking all like that. So now I'm saying
I wasn't chopping nothing.
The blame game.
The blame game.
It's you. We talked about this on the podcast. That's the blame game.
Well, when you
always,
instead of saying it's always you. You made me feel this way instead of saying
every time you do this, I do this. It's because of you that I'm like this, or because you. It's a blame. Just always blaming.
So the awareness of those different reasons of the reason why you would argue, right? It only comes to the people that are closest to you. It's always the people that's come closest to you. That's true. Man. So now that we have that awareness, how do we change that?
That it's always the people closest to you. You change it by respecting those relationships, honoring those relationships, actually stepping back and seeing if those relationships are worth honoring too. Are they worth actually going forward with? If you argue all the time with that person, why? Right?
Yep. And one of the things that we talked about is empathy, having empathy for whatever is happening.
Right. And like the difference between sympathy and empathy, right? Sympathy is when you feel bad for somebody, right? Or you're just like, oh, but empathy is when you understand that person. So it's like, I understand what you're going through. I got you, Another reason some people argue is the kids. Who does what with the kids? Or how are the kids? Where are the kids? Who's doing what with the kids? You change a diaper, not change a diaper, they're arguing about that. So
anything that has to be shared always sparks an argument. That's what it sounds like. It's like if you have to share any responsibilities, you share parenting, a lot of those things, and if something's not done the way you want it done, it's an argument. Yeah. And all it is you trying to persuade. So why do you have to try and persuade me to do things the way you want them done?
It's so true. It's so true.
Why you just don't like my way? Oh, I don't like your way.
You're right, but I think being persuaded is something different, because that's me. It's like if you come to me and you're like, oh babe, let's do this, that, and I'm like, and you're like, oh, forget it. I'm like, wait, babe, don't give up so easy. Keep talking.
No, that's different.
You could convince me. You could convince me. No, it's like persuading me. Like if you persuade me to do it, then I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying in an argument is the reason why we even have an argument, right, is because I want you to do X, Y, and Z. So therefore, I'm gonna throw out all of my points of why you should have did X, Y, and Z. So for instance, you're going to the restaurant, and instead of going the freeway that I usually take, you take the back streets. And then I'm gonna give you every reason why you should have took the freeway. I'm gonna give you gas, cost, shorter, lights. I'm trying to persuade you.
Right.
But you I'm used to this way, so I'm just, so if your way still gets us from A to B, who cares about the in between?
True.
We do, right? Like, so as humans, like that, it goes back to that control thing, right? It's like, well, you should have did it my way because it's better. And that's the other part about persuading, right? Is like, you think your way is better. And that's why motherfuckers argue.
That's funny. Interior design.
Oh, you still going down the list?
Yeah, I am.
God damn. How long is this list?
It's pretty long. It's a lot of things to argue about.
About to argue how long this list is. Cut that shit in half. I don't care about interior design. I'm gonna let you do your thing.
Yeah, you do sometimes because if
it looks crazy,
we chose, I don't do nothing that looks crazy. But you'll say, well, maybe we should do it. I'm like, wait, and you're like, okay. So now lately, yeah, you will let me do my thing. Money.
Yeah, share.
Yeah.
You got to share money.
Or like if you're right, spending too much, not spending enough, or like she's overspender.
I don't think you never argue about not spending enough. You didn't spend the hundreds? What? Unless, like the episode we talked about paying half the bill. That is like, why you ain't pay the whole damn bill?
Yeah, that's true. No, I would never spend too much on that. Relatives.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we've argued over that.
Yep.
Family dramas.
Man. Yeah.
Even outside, like my family arguing with my family over my family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not even talk about family dramas of me arguing about your stuff. Like, yeah.
Holidays, where they're going to be, who they're going to be with, who you're going to spend them with. Those all can become arguments. People are like, oh, I'm going to spend them with my mom. I'm going to spend them with, we always spend it with your family. So,
for me personally, I've spent so much time on the West Coast. It was pretty simple, right? It was like, this is what it is. Just recently is when I was like, all right, now we got options. We go, because I wasn't tied to a job where I couldn't travel for a long time. So it was like, we're here. We're just going to do it. But
yeah, we didn't have that. I don't think we've ever had the problem of arguing about holidays, but.
Nah.
Yeah, I mean, before, like you said, you had a job where you couldn't travel for holidays, so it just is what it was, you know?
That goes back to sharing. Damn, people just argue over sharing stuff.
Yeah.
Damn, we are selfish than a motherfucker as human beings.
We could be. This is true.
Is your list over?
My list is over.
Finally, you ain't even tell me. You just looked at me like.
Folks, I figured you had a lot to say, so you want to get through my list quickly.
No, I already put it all out there.
What are some ways to stop arguments?
Breathe. You gotta breathe. Is it? I mean, honestly, like we making fun of a lot of it, but if you really think about who you're arguing with, and we've already established, it's usually the people that you're closest to, the people that you probably say "I love you" more than any other person, right, in your day. You don't typically argue with people at work. If you do, you probably quit that job. If you argue with your family members, probably not a very healthy family member relationship that you have. So you argue with people that you love. So think about it. Like, what's the point of us being happy? Why are we in this routine? So breathe first, and then think about the differences of opinion and why you're trying to persuade the other.
Yeah, truth. And some ways or some other like types things you could say, like when you're in the midst of an argument, you can kind of step back and kind of like say, let's think about it, instead of being in the midst of it. It's kind of like let's reset this whole thing, step back, let's think about it and come back. When people get in the midst of an argument, people feel like fighting. They need to calm down. So it's best to kind of step away.
When you say reset, how does that work? Like, you reset, at what point do you reset? Like, you know, because that's hard, because sometimes when you're already in.
Yeah, a friend of mine told me about resetting too, right? And it's just that you kind of just walk away. It's gone too much. You respect that person, but the conversation has gotten kind of foul.
Do you communicate like, hey, you know what?
Let's
instead of just walking away.
Yeah, no. You actually say to that person, like, let's think about this, you know, before something is said that cannot be taken back, right? Because words are powerful. So let's pause here and let's think about it and then come back. Okay. Right.
To have a discussion. It's like, like let's come back.
It's not over.
Right. Because obviously there's something we need to hash. So reset, walk away.
Calm down.
Let's have this, like, I'm going to have this talk with you later on.
Instead of telling someone that they're completely wrong, maybe just say, like, you know what?
That's easy. You're wrong.
Or if someone tells you that you're wrong, then instead of just being like, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
Just say, you know what, you may be right. Like, let me think about this. And an example, maybe if someone said, you know, that was inappropriate. And then instead of you just bouncing back like, no, it wasn't. Like, fuck you. You're inappropriate for telling me it's inappropriate. Or
I think the word inappropriate might be offensive. Like that. But you just saying it right now. I was like, woo.
It's a, what is that? Checker, or what do you call it? Trigger. It's a trigger.
Yeah,
it's a trigger.
yeah, like inappropriate. Like what?
Yeah. It's like wait, yeah. You know, like you know what? You may be right. That may have been a little inappropriate. Like you may have been right. Not you're right, but you may have been right.
So to suck that up though, that takes some practice. So in this, you know, when you're trying to reset or you need to breathe or you want to admit like, all right, you may be right. Let me kind of think about that. That takes practice. So how do you practice to get to that point of, you know, not being able to, or not, I use the wrong term. It ain't about not being able to argue, but, you know, like.
Be able to pull yourself out before it gets to argument, right? Because these are all ways to like stop that argument from even beginning.
I'm trying to find a $10 word to say, you know, you push that argument to the side, but fuck that. It's like, I don't want to argue, so let me reset. It's going to take practice. How do you practice that?
Well, like you said, when you know better, you do better. So the practice that you already had is blowing up, right? So now that you know better, you have to practice at doing something different, and that's stepping back and doing all the things, you know. And saying that you understand is another one, right? I understand because someone clearly may be upset at you because of something. And just saying, I understand. Like, you give empathy, right? I understand what you're going through.
I think that's what it goes back to, is the practice of empathy. It's like if you're able to have a discussion with somebody, and even, you know, the argument, something that you didn't agree with, or somebody did something that made you feel a certain kind of way, empathy steps in first, that awareness, and then you take whatever your practice is. If it's a breath, if it's acknowledging a reset, or just acknowledging like, all right, I understand where you're coming from. Let's come back to this later. Yes.
And to say that you understand doesn't mean that you agree with them. Doesn't mean that the problem is solved, right?
That's major.
It just means that you understand.
That's major right there. Admitting that, like, okay, I get it, doesn't mean I agree. Like, that's huge, because not feeling like, oh, I lost. Because at the end of the day, arguments like, oh, I lost.
Right.
And who cares about the, you know, the L? But I don't agree. I do understand. So let's come back so that we can hear each other out.
Yeah. And that goes to my last thing, just saying you're sorry, right? And that's just owning up to wherever you fell short. It's like, you know what? Like, you know what? That's right. You know, I fucked up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, apologize is everything.
In the middle of unless you just apologize all the time and you don't fucking mean it, then that's something different, right? But if in the middle of an apology and then you like if you say to yourself, which I know if we've ever been in an argument and I see that you're truly hurt, then I'm like, oh shit, you know, like I really hurt him or that person that I'm talking to, you know what I mean? It's just an email.
No, I deleted something. Closing windows.
It's like that. What's your quote?
No, I didn't expect for it to be that loud. That's funny. But arguing is really, arguing is not communication. It's just noise, right? Especially, you know, if you argue in front of people, if you argue in front of kids. That was my quote.
I said it was something you made up.
That's my false memory syndrome.
And this is why we argue.
No, 1,000%. Our arguments now, I laugh. I'll be like, oh, yo, that's hilarious. Like, we're arguing right now. I dig it. But that, I can laugh now when we argue is because of practice, right? So, so I'm talking my own personal practice is being able, like, I apologize for everything if I see that I upset somebody. Like, oh, my bad. Shit, just yesterday I was apologizing because I felt like I was right, and I was ready to go back and forth about a particular product, and I had to, you know, once I found out I was wrong, I was like, yo, I apologize. And it was never an argument, but I knew I was wrong. So even acknowledging that you wasn't wrong, you wasn't right in a situation that didn't result in an argument, that's where your practice starts right there. It's like, all right, you know what? I apologize because I was wrong. And the more you do that, the easier it gets. So then when you do come to an argument, then when you are ready for the battle, you know how to sit back and say, all right, let me think about this. Let me have empathy for the person that I'm in a situation with. 9 times out of 10, it's your significant other or a family member, and then reset. Just that easy.
Yeah. There's a ton of reasons that we can argue and should, and I just listed about 10 of them, right? But for just as many reasons as there is to argue, there's to not argue, to be positive, to be happy. To me, that's the choice. You can be a type of person who's disgruntled, who always finds offense to things. And most people that are very argumentative, to me, find things very offensive, and therefore they're very argumentative. So you can argue about anything because everything pisses them off, Not saying that things don't piss me off, but I don't allow it to take me out of character so much. And when I see people getting out of character, now I step back and I just understand, like it's something that they have to go through. Sometimes people go through things and it's them. Sometimes they just need to go through it, and I understand that as well.
That's very true. Discussions are always better. And one cool, the thing that you said about that is understanding that people are going through stuff and they get offended. And, I journal, and I'll reflect on how I was throughout the day, or how I was yesterday. Like, man, you know what, this happened, and especially if an argument happened, or if you said you don't allow anything to get you out of character. So that moment when I do get out of character, I have to reflect on that and journal it down and say, why did I get out of character here? And then write down, the reason why I got out of character is because I lost self-control. I lost my self-discipline. Only I can, it goes back to that I thing, and I'm writing everything down of the I of why I lost control or why I got out of character. I never put down because she did this and he did that and that's why I got pissed off here. Is like, there's no, the practice, right? The practice is understanding how the self-control, like what made me flare up when it comes to an argument. My final thought on this is lose the argument, not the person.
All right. I like it. This is Life and Shit.
Life and Shit. Do us a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Leave a review. Let us know what your thoughts are. That's the only way that this show is going to be successful. And we appreciate you. Talk with you next time.